This is a little blending tutorial where I show you how you can use different shutter speeds to freeze motion in specific parts of an image. For example, here with this waterfall image I used quite long exposures of several seconds to get a smooth water flow here. But there was also a lot of wind in this canyon here, so the leaves here were moving around quite a bit, and this was too distracting in the image. So you see now the final blend I did for this image, and I'll now walk you through the different steps involved. So let's just deselect a couple of layers here. So if you watched my start to finish tutorial, you know that to get a good sharpness in my photos from front to background, I'm using focus stacking, and you learned also how I blend images. Also for this image I used focus stacking, and I can now show you the different layers. For example, now active is the corners layer. I have deactivated all the other blended layers, and the corners layer you see here down in this area, it's only sharp for a very small area. Already here it's starting to get soft. So this is just the corners. Then I have grouped those. Normally I put those together in one layer, but I pertained the different steps for you to so I could show you. What you see now, let's see, this is the background layer which I activated here, and this is the mask which I used to blend it with the middle layer below. You see all the area up here is from this background layer, and if I zoom in again, you see here's the transition roughly here. If I shift click on the mask, you see how this part gets softer, and now with this mask active, this is the sharper part, which is from the middle. This layer is lying below. So with those two layers which I have in this group, I have the background and the middle ground sharp. I also used a little curves adjustment layer on the background to brighten it up a bit, because it was a little too dark. And then I grouped those two, background and middle ground, and put another mask on this group. And if I deactivate this mask by holding shift and clicking, you see that for those back and middle ground, this corner area was very soft. And if we look at the mask I did here, it's really just this corner area which I'm using from the below, and it's a very easy blend. Even if we have grasses and stuff in it, there's no problem. Down here there wasn't much movement from wind, and especially here in the leaves you see how it's getting sharper. So quite easy, just a few masks. I'd usually select those all together, hit Ctrl E, and now I have the focus blend. But still, if we look at the image, you see this area here is quite distracting, because those leaves were moving a lot during those I think 3 second exposures. And what I did, in addition to those long exposures, I took one exposure with ISO 800 f5.6, which led to 1/10 of a second. Maybe I should have used an even higher ISO, but then with my 5D Mark II, noise starts to noticeable degrade the quality of the image, and so this is the best compromise I could find. And I show you this. Here I get nearly sharp leaves. There's a little movement, but this is okay. For example, if I look at this one, it's not so distracting. And what I have to do now is blend this area with the rest of the image, and this is just an easy mask. Just with a white brush, I paint it along the outline here, and this gives me this blend. Quite neat. So now I have the best of two worlds. I have a longer exposure for the water in the foreground, and then this here. I should maybe leave this a little blurry because I don't get a clean blend here. Because here is the water, and if I wanted a clean blend, then I had the slow moving water. This wouldn't look too good. So I'll leave this moving a bit. This is not too bad. But this area here, this is 100% blended in. And then what's left is this moving leaf here. And there, well, it's just a little bit of using the stamp tool and copying in some areas. Not too much, but if you didn't know it, I have used the stamp tool, you wouldn't notice. But if we have the direct comparison, you certainly see, yeah, there's something done to it. But after the rest of the processing I'll do to this image, you won't see it anymore. So just to remember, there's not only focus stacking and HDR or different exposure times blending for dynamic range. You can also blend different exposure times or, to get specific areas of an image sharp and others blurred. And this is quite a nice technique.